Today, I'm going to be talking about my objective personality type, which I got back in April of 2022. For those of you that don't know, the Objective Personality System, or OPS, is a typology system based on Carl Jung's work and loosely defined by, but very different from, the well-known Myers-Briggs Type Indicator, or more commonly referred to as MBTI. I'm going to use as little jargon as I possibly can, but in some instances I may have to, but I'll explain what it means if I do have to use it. Why am I doing this? The main reason is because I want to talk about how my type works. I'll be looking at certain people with a similar type to me and point out where it's the type talking and where it seems that they've done some work to improve on their weaknesses. I'll also be looking at various examples of people who I think my type will be able to learn from in order to have more of a balanced approach in life and make more balanced decisions. Timestamps will be down below if there's a part that you would like to skip to or rewatch. Some of you watching this video may not like some of the examples used, but please be aware that I'm only looking at things from a personality type perspective and not endorsing or condemning any views of the people I'm talking about. So my type specifically has two major components: being balanced with facts and concepts, new and old, abstract and concrete. They're all relatively easy for me. The difficult thing my type struggles with is balancing my own internal perspective with the perspective of others, my own reasons with others' values. The mindset here is that if you just adopted my idea and implemented what I'm suggesting, everyone would be happy, safe, the vibe would be good, and you'll thank me later. Good examples of this are Ayaan Hirsi Ali and Sam Harris. If you just searched people who look like potential terrorists at airports, we'd be safe. If you stamp out the ideology that's causing the problems, we'd be happy. Hold that thought because I'm going to tie this in with another aspect shortly. The thing about my type is we actually don't know what others want and what will make them happy. We think we do, but we're blind to it. So we're very careful around it. Out of fear, we get something wrong and end up lowering our social standing because of it. But really, the only way to develop is to actually do the work to understand and adapt your ideas to be somewhat in line with the social values to a point where you're growing because you're adapting your ideas based off of the problems that you actually see now that you've done the work to actually find out where the problems are and what solutions need to be in order to improve the emotional atmosphere and the quality of life of those around you. A great example of this is John Green. He seems to be able to make almost anything he talks about relate to social values and emotional connection. His book, The Anthropocene Reviewed, turned actions such as Googling strangers and turned them into deeply moving concepts. He was even able to do this in a recent video tasting Dr. Pepper knockoffs, and he somehow turned Dr. Pepper into a revolutionary drink which quenched the world's thirst and built meaningful relationships. Another good example of balancing these is Simon Sinek. He is very much about producing something which will improve the vibe. In order to do it right, you need to understand collective value and how that's established, and how simply by helping others and making them feel good, you automatically feel good and your social standing increases. The second largest part of my type is that I'm relatively balanced when it comes to the exchange of information, taking information in and communicating information out. Though all of the examples I'm going to reference all by default prefer taking in information over giving it out, particularly taking concepts and figuring them out in relation to their own ideas, over giving out, implementing and acting on what they've learned and how it would help improve the lives of others. In a lot of these examples, they lean into the giving of information more to improve their weaknesses. The difficult part is managing my energy levels and balancing the expending of energy with the preserving of energy, either slamming the brakes or going crazy and getting lots of stuff done, which results in always being tired in a nutshell. We also mask ourselves and hide behind the information. We don't want people to be able to see us in our totality, and we give little parts of ourselves out which are necessary to illustrate or prove something or move forward. It has to have a purpose or contribute to an outcome, generally removing ourselves and focusing on the accuracy, purity and authenticity of information. A good example of this is Tilda Swinton. She once said that she wants to reduce the possibility of somebody recognizing her in a movie because it would taint the picture of the particular movie she's in. She said, "I try to spend a lot of time disguising myself." Then she talks about her unique flavor of doing this, which is different to mine, but I'll come back to this example shortly. My particular type struggles with the possibility of taking in new concepts that fit into external social values. Much of what we do, how we talk and interact with others is pre-planned. and we're not very good at responding to new possibilities that we hadn't previously considered. Going back to Ayan, there was an interview she had on The Daily Show with Jon Stewart, and Jon had to ask her the same question 3 different times, and each time she gave the same answer, and she was just going back to the answer that she had already planned to give. In the end, Jon gave up and plugged her book instead. Sam Harris is always going back to, this has happened in the past, this is what we know, this is what needs to be done. Whenever he's asked a question which could potentially challenge his worldview, he goes back to the same facts and statistics he's gathered to support his position. The good thing is, though, that my type understands that there's no painting everybody with the same brush. In the case of Sam and Ayan, they accept that there are Muslims who are not like what they preached against and reiterate that their problem is with the idea, philosophy, not the people within it. But also, they do say that if it means that they will have trouble if their ideas are adopted, so be it. Sam, for example, has said that he fits the profile of a potential terrorist, so therefore he should be searched. I'm going to hold back from expanding on this point to stay on topic, but you see how being balanced with the exchange of information, but also all in on our own ideas, tied together. An aspect which is a struggle for my type is failing at something, getting it wrong and putting it out there. So we tend to overdo the processing of any way in which this could go wrong and make our thing as bulletproof as possible before putting it out there so that we don't have to take feedback and redo and rethink what we're trying to give. Because we greatly respect the craft and the intricacies of a given field, there is always another level. There is always a higher level of expertise within it, and we notice that. So we aim to be at the top of the chain, but we don't want to claim that we're the best at what we do if there's more to learn. Tilda Swinton is a great example of overcoming this. She was once asked about failure and her take on it, to which she responded, "It's the best," and proceeded to talk about difficult times where she was in projects which struggled greatly, but the more you do and put out, the better your products become. Despite everything she's learned over the years, she still says that she can't call herself an actress because she feels that real actors would stand up and protest if she did. Quentin Tarantino is not the exact same type, but he also has the same difficulty of having something you produce not turn out very well. An example he gives is once he spent 3 years shooting a movie on a shoestring budget on the weekends as he was also working at the time. He also didn't have enough money to process the footage, but when he finally had the money to do so, he realized the footage was nowhere near the standard he thought it was at, and so he decided to scrap it and rework it. But using that as a learning experience for what he could do moving forward, which ended up making him one of the greatest directors of all time. Another aspect of type is where you're solid and where you're adaptable. Some people are solid on facts and the physical reality, but adaptable on concepts and the abstract. Others are the opposite. Some people are solid on themselves, pressure themselves to do better, and adaptable and soft with others. Others are the opposite. People like Sam Harris are solid on the facts. This is what happened. We can interpret this in different ways. Other examples of this, although a different personality type, is Quentin Tarantino. He likes to explain what the state of entertainment was back in the day, which led him to produce what he does today. My personality type is also solid on the facts. I also find memory-wise we can be pretty good. With me, I can revise slightly and then I'll remember every detail, even if it's been a long time. Though at times, my recollection of events and the timeline can be slightly off, it's usually pretty accurate. People like Ayan and Tilda Swinton are adaptable with the facts and the physical reality. This can be shown by Tilda Swinton explaining, "If my body is not appropriate, I will change it if I can." The other side of that is solid with concepts. For example, Tilda Swinton has spoken about becoming a donkey, essentially in many different projects but practically unrecognizable, wanting the physical reality to fit into the concept. Given that it's easy for people of my type to feel stuck with people, it's important to remember that everyone is looking at the world through the programming they have and have built their worldviews off of that. There's not much else to it. Opinions change, nothing lasts forever, the hard times come and go. To conclude, for people of a type similar to me, we need to focus on what we have and how we can benefit other people with it, why it's important and why others should care. This will help us develop. I hope you enjoyed the video and took something from it. Feel free to comment down below what your thoughts are and let me know if you want a more specific breakdown with more jargon. Thank you very much and you have a good one.